Controlled Chaos with your hosts, Liz and Allie.
I'm Liz, the writer.
And I'm Allie, the publicist.
We are your quintessential 40-something besties who dive headfirst into all things pop culture.
Think motherhood, relationships, hot stories taking over your newsfeed, and of course, the latest gripping true crime mysteries.
This is Controlled Chaos, your much-needed weekly pop culture juice.
Drink up!
All right, welcome back to another episode of Controlled Chaos. I'm Allie.
That should be our official intro. And I'm Liz.
Guys, we cannot get enough of what is going on right now with Kevin Spacey. It is, first of all, again, we always start with, you must be living under a rock. Everyone knows that he has been accused, and now he's been found not guilty for some sexual assault accusations, both on the criminal and the civil side, which is kind of a crazy situation that he had two different types of lawsuits, criminal being a lot more serious, in my opinion. But the reason we wanted to talk about him today is not to talk about the accusations, but more so what's currently going on with him. The new documentary that came out a month ago that some are saying was a smear campaign against him. It was produced by Channel 4 in UK, alongside I forget, but anyway, it just got acquired by HBO Max, and so now you can see it on Discovery Plus. It's called Kevin Spacey Unmasked, and it is a bit of a one-sided account in the sense of it's just talking with a lot of different men that have accused or are accusing him of some different types of sexual assault. It also interviews his brother, talks a little bit about his family life, but then just a few days ago, Piers Morgan did an interview with him for about
that Piers Morgan interview was really it really cut deep. If you guys haven't seen it, if you don't know much about this, you should just watch that interview because it shows like it's completely put a dagger in his career. And I'm just gonna say for the record, I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan as an actor. I mean, he truly, let's just put the personal stuff aside. Let's just get that out of there for a second. I know it's hard, but he, in my opinion, has got to be one of the most compelling, he's he's such a natural villain. That's kind of, I know maybe there's a reason he's so natural at it. He's so sinister. I mean, I never watched the whole series of House of Cards. That was Netflix's first original show, but that first season, I was like, it's a million things he's been in. He was so good in Seven. What's in the box? Ryan and I quote that all the time.
I mean, the man has won 2 Academy Awards, right? Usual Suspects, American Beauty.
Usual Suspects. American Beauty. Incredible. Anyway, we could go on and on, but he's extremely talented. The Kevin Spacey Unmasked actually talks a little bit about his formative time, Juilliard, all these things. He has a very impressive background. But here's something I thought was interesting about that show. I don't know if you remember one of the first interviews he does. This is before he's famous. And I don't know if you're the first episode, the guy who's in theater met with him, and Kevin Spacey apparently stood up and had this big boner and didn't say anything, looked right at the guy. It was very creepy behavior. And this was before he was a big deal. And the reason I'm saying that is because, Allie and I have talked a lot about with Backstreet Boys and Nick, sometimes when you have this entitled feeling, you feel like you can get away with stuff. Well, that was creepy to me because this was before he was famous at all.
You're talking about when he was in high school, right? And he was in the car with a classmate. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about that. This was an audition he went in. And the guy was just got really creeped out by his behavior. But my point is this is before he was anybody. So he kind of seems like this was a little who he was, built into it. Because on the interview with Pierce, he's yeah, he admitted to getting handsy. That was his word. He got handsy. By, maybe I didn't know they didn't want it. I'm not sure if I buy that. I think that and people don't want it.
I want to go deeper into some of the accusations and the gray areas. But the first thing I want to say here is let's just all get reminded that this exploded during the very beginning of the MeToo movement when Harvey Weinstein scandal was breaking. So there was a lot of momentum to take down people, right? And in the case of Kevin Spacey, we had this accusation come out from an actor who was in movies like Dazed and Confused, and his name is Anthony Rapp. And then that trickled to some more. And then lo and behold, now we're at 2024 present, where there's a documentary with even more men coming out. But he definitely did not benefit from the Me Too movement in the sense of had there been no Me Too movement and then a couple accusations came out, I don't know that we would have seen this type of effect on his career being taken out. In the Piers Morgan interview, he talks about like the Hollywood blacklist and how that's something that they don't do anymore because it has killed so many careers of actors, but he feels he's been completely blacklisted. And if you haven't seen this interview with Piers
Kind of
Morgan,
has. I mean,
he's been blacklisted. He has not worked.
Hasn't been in any movies. And yeah,
He literally said, and I don't know if you watched the whole thing, his home is being foreclosed on.
Baltimore's being foreclosed. Yes, I don't know. I hope this isn't like, don't like come at me, but I kind of feel a little bit for him. Only because
That's the PR working.
it goes. No, I don't know though. I'm sorry. These NFL players beat and rape their wives and go play the next game. I don't understand like how we decide like
True, yeah.
who gets ruined. Like Ben Roethlisberger, that guy is a fucking creep. And like
You're right. You're right, because
it's not really fair. Like these careers aren't ruined. And I'm not saying what Kevin Spacey didn't do wrong, but he technically didn't rape anybody. Like we like
so far there's no accusation of rape. And by the way, he's been completely acquitted and found not guilty.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying the guy was inappropriate. Bill Cosby, he raped people. But we're talking about way worse things. I'm not saying that he didn't do something that's inappropriate. Of course he did. But he didn't rape anybody. It was 20 years ago. And the guys were, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know if he should be this derailed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if everyone thinks I'm just like a person who thinks I'm not, I don't. But or then these football players that beat and rape their wives, derail their career. Why are we putting them right back? We suspend them for 2 games and they're fine. Like, fuck that. It's not fair.
Here's the kind of funky thing about this situation is we're so used to hearing sexual abuse cases and like accusations against women, right? In this case, it's men. And I think men in general don't really know how to navigate when these types of things happen to them. They're not trained for it. They don't know about it. They don't have friends who have been sexually harassed, abused, touched, whatever. So add that element that they are men on top of the fact that the gray area here for me is in all the accusations I saw in that documentary, none of these guys, from what I recall, actually said, stop, no, I don't want you to do it. And he kept going. That never happened.
I did not, you took the words out of my mouth. No one that I saw so far on that said no. And I'm going to quote a vintage 90210 episode right now.
It's either your therapist or 90210. There you go.
Guys, 90210 dictates my whole life. We should do a whole episode on that. I can like write this. But there's one part where he's like, I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. And I always thought that was really powerful because you may not have wanted it, but it's your responsibility. It is just to be like, no. If you say no, woman or a man, and it continues, then yeah, you're being raped. It's against your will. But that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. And just to be clear again, we're not saying he's right or wrong. We're just trying to
but like
the situation.
No one said no and he kept going. Okay. Even with Nick Carter, someone said no and like, I don't want to do this if he continues. That's crossing the line. From what I'm hearing, Kevin didn't do that. And he was acquitted. So give the guy a job. Get the guy a job.
And all of these accusations in this doc have not been brought against as charges. And again, all of these are just either awkward situations, like maybe where he was pressing against them inappropriately, but no one said anything.
I'm not saying that's not gross because it is.
Correct. It's gross. And it sounds like he admits that he knows it's handsy.
He is admitting it's gross and it's super inappropriate. He was younger and like, I'm not excusing it. It's disgusting.
But I would also say that all of the guys that were in this doc were all in very compromising situations of their career where they were trying to move from the very bottom, right? They were like maybe extras or key grips, or they were like, they had very, very small roles on House of Cards or background scenes, whatever. These are people, men, that were looking to advance their careers. Now, I'm not saying that their motive here was, let me do what he says to do.
No, but they probably thought if they let it slide.
And, you know, Joe Rogan was just talking about this, where these men didn't say no. They were at low points of their career, or they were trying to be up and coming in their career. And in some instances, these men continued to answer his texts, went to his hotel room for the parties.
And I'm sorry, some of that's on them. It is. You're certainly not giving him the impression that you're not for it.
Something's off there. Yeah. I mean, but it's back to like the conversations like around Michael Jackson, all those things. It's like when someone's so famous, 2 Oscars at the top of their game, leading next, I mean, wherever he was in his career and these things happen, it was Kevin Spacey. I mean, everyone said his name and it was like, oh, he's brilliant. He's incredible. And, you know, similar to that Michael Jackson, you know, God, stage presence. Like, how could someone be doing these things Or how could you expect someone to be in a situation with Kevin Spacey and he says, come to my house for a party, and he's being a little handsy with you, and you have, because there were a couple of cases where the men like wasn't there one where the man showed up to the hotel room and then he was like, I'm not into this, bye-bye, and he left, right? And you have to be like, okay, why didn't they all do that? Why didn't they all do that?
Could have said no and left. It doesn't sound like he took anyone against their will.
But I will say that there were some accounts where Kevin Spacey was like making kind of weird promises, like, oh, let me read your script or I'll help you, and then like never helped with anything. And
but you know what? How many people do that in like any job?
You know that they say about Harvey Weinstein that it was like a rite of passage. If you do this, I'll get you in the movie. A lot of those people said that he put him in the movie for doing it.
But Harvey Weinstein, that to me, that's apples and oranges. That is an apples and oranges comparison. That guy was a full-on predator.
But my point is they use the same tactic of like, do this with me and I'll help you out.
Levels of that. Like Harvey, I think Kevin being like, yeah, I don't know. I think we all kind of do that on a degree. I'm not saying in a creepy level, like, oh, like we all kind of like, oh yeah, sure, like do these favors. You might not follow up on the favors. I'm not saying that's the same thing, but using it how Harvey did is like the sexual barter that he was really doing. Like that to me is black and white. He's like, you suck my dick, I'll put you in this movie.
He had a room and everything in his house.
Yeah. I don't think Kevin was doing that. He may have done a little more like flirtatious, like, oh yeah, I'll read it, check it out, and like trying to be handsy. I'm not saying that's also not creepy, but it's not like Harvey Weinstein.
It's leading up to and that's where the gray area is. And who knows what he was actually really saying and how he was acting and how forceful he was being. But from everything we've seen and read, it doesn't seem like there was any situation where anyone was being drugged or held down.
If you think about it, if someone's trying to like what Joe Rogan said, which by the way, I didn't know you're a Joe Rogan fan. I don't like him.
Not that I'm a fan. I just find a lot of his guests very interesting.
Yes, no, I know a lot of people do, but anyway, like these guys are already like, it's like the subtext, right? Like if you're a struggling actor and you're hanging out with Kevin Spacey, there's a subtext there. Like just like if we're hanging out with the CEO of your company, maybe I'll catch his ear, or maybe I'll get promoted.
Totally, I'll get an opportunity.
It's the same. It's like all different levels, but it's the same way we all think, like.
But I found it very interesting that there were a few men that were not gay at all and that they still kind of like went along with it versus, I mean, okay, there are two things I wanted to point out that I thought were interesting. And one is a good thing on his behalf and the other one not. I thought it was really gross how he used the opportunity when the first accusation came out. He used that opportunity to tell the world he was gay. That was gross. Do you remember that in his statement?
That was weird. And yeah, that wasn't great.
And he always avoided the topic in any interview leading up, always very private, which you can clearly tell he's got a lot of issues with being the real Kevin Spacey. And let's take a moment to talk about the fact that he grew up with a neo-Nazi father who was very abusive verbally. And we found out from the documentary, I mean, again, all speculation, but the brother who's a Rod Stewart impersonator, which is funny. He really does look like him. He said that at the age of 12 or 13, his father, after the verbal abuse and all that, his father started raping him. And his father would have neo-Nazi meetings at the home. And then he left when he was older because he was older than Kevin. Kevin was his younger brother. And he felt terrible leaving Kevin alone in the home with his dad, but he had to get out. So we can only imagine that Kevin endured the same physical, sexual abuse. I mean, you'd have to imagine, why would the father...
That would be a reason that Kevin can play these creepy characters so well.
Not to mention have a little bit of a distortion when it comes to sexual desires and comfort levels and not being yourself and just having this.
That comparison to me right there is smack dab Michael Jackson. I mean, I stand by this. I really don't think Michael Jackson thinks he was doing something wrong. I truly don't. He was emotionally stunted. I'm not saying Kevin, it's the same, but it's exactly what you just said. It distorts your reality. He might actually think that what he was doing was like more welcomed or like more okay. And I'm again, no justification here. It's gross. No justification, Michael Jackson. It's all gross. But when you are sexually abused or emotionally abused in your foundation of childhood, your whole foundation's warped. You don't know what's even normal or what's right or wrong.
It's a very sad situation because you really can't look at these like I mean, yes, if someone's responsible for raping or abusing someone, they're responsible for doing that. If you're responsible for killing someone, you can't blame someone else for it. But you do have to take these things into account because they shape you as a human.
That's it. You have to take them into account. That's what it is. It's not letting them off the hook for it. It's taking those things and filing them and being like, okay, this might explain this behavior like a little bit.
Let's just remind listeners that he's won 2 Academy Awards, a BAFTA Award, a Golden Globe Award, a Tony Award, 2 Lawrence Olivier Awards, and has been nominated for 12 Emmys. This man is so
talented. He really is. I miss seeing him on screen. I mean, I do.
I do too. And again, this is a tough situation because behavior Yeah, so he's gone to rehab. He says he is a changed man. I still think he needs to be held accountable. Oh, people should always, there should be clauses in his contracts. I mean, can't let it go, right?
No, but I think it might be time, he ended that interview. I want to get back on the horse. Like, I think it might be time to give him a little reprieve and get him back into Hollywood a little bit. He has been remorseful. He's been acquitted. He didn't, like we said, didn't rape anybody. Let's, I don't know. I think maybe a studio should give him a chance again.
Do you know what else I find very interesting is, so you know how he was like the director or whatever of the Old Vic in London for like, I don't know, it was like 12 years, which was like a theater, and he was basically the mentor. And by the way, these were all tons of young men. There has never been one complaint, not one complaint filed about him following any of the accusations by Anthony Rapp. So to me, that's very telling as well. Because you would think that if this man had such a fucking problem and was like doing things way worse than what Anthony Rapp said, you would think that there would have at least been a couple people that it would have come out. He's not working with
I
them.
agree. So you know what? I know the big city studios listen to this podcast. You guys need to give Kevin Spacey.
Don't laugh at that. It's true.
I know you do. Okay, Warner Brothers, Searchlight. Oh gosh, A12, though I love you, but like, just anything love if you watched, or listened, I'm sorry. I think it's time to maybe give him a little, have a comeback. You know what? It's out there. I think he's been remorseful, and he's just, gosh, I miss watching him.
Again, criminal and civil trials and not guilty on all of them. All of them. Criminal trial had a jury and they deliberated for like 11 hours. Yeah.
That should clear these execs from like feeling like it's okay to hire him again, in my opinion. Like but they might not, because they answer to the fans, they answer to the studio sales, and they're going to be like, oh, it might be dicey to do this, but
it's back to what you just said too, like, sorry, what we were talking about in one of our previous episodes, like Nick Carter, right? Backstreet Boys front lead. The man has been accused by several women of rape now. He's still touring, no issue. His career hasn't been ruined.
Nope. Neither have many football players. No.
And look at Ansel Elgort, who had all those terrible things come out about like engaging with younger girls. He's like a huge star. He was in West Side Story, and they like basically minimized his role even though he was one of the stars. He was just in a hit HBO show. Like, why is he back? Why? Ansel Elgort has not won any awards.
I don't find that to be quite fair, and I think it's time. And this guy's way more talented. I was just thinking about that. Remember, this is random, but Ryan Adams, remember when he was doing like that weird texting with like, I was listening to his songs in the shower the other day, and my Ryan was like, I can't believe you still listen to him. I'm like,
wait, Ryan Adams, like anything I do it for you? Or Ryan Adams, like
Ryan Adams. Ryan Adams is who is married to Mandy Moore.
But you're talking about Bryan Adams.
No, I'm talking about Ryan Adams, Mandy Moore's ex-husband, who is a super, super talented musician, like him or hate him.
Come out about him? I didn't know that.
Yes, he was like, I was just, I don't know if it derailed his career as much, but yeah, he was like kind of like doing what you said Kevin Spacey was doing, not the handsy stuff, to like talking to these young girls, saying he would help their career. No rape or anything like that, but it got a lot of bad press around it. And then Mandy Moore wrote this like very big article about how he was extremely emotionally abusive at the height of her career of This Is Us. So I was just like thinking, when we were talking about his career, why someone's career is derailed, why someone's not. I haven't heard much about him recently.
I really think with Kevin, it was a timing thing. I mean, he was one of the biggest stars and one of the biggest shows, and here you have a huge scandal going on with Harvey.
Yeah, it was a timing thing.
It has to be. You know what else I thought was really interesting that he said, that I'm curious to see where they go with this? Really nothing to do with him though, as far as incriminating, but Kevin admitted that he once flew to Africa with Jeffrey Epstein and former President Bill Clinton and a group of young girls. And in my mind, I'm like, it was for some humanitarian AIDS awareness effort. First of all, flying with young girls, and why was Bill Clinton on there? But again, he's another example of like,
Bill Clinton was definitely involved. He was, I mean, look,
why have we not gotten more from that? Why are we so concerned with Hillary's fucking emails? Bill Clinton flying with young girls. Why has not more of this come out?
Bill Clinton, while I'm going to go ahead and just say right now, I think is a really good politician. He was smart, but he is a creepy dude.
I mean, he lied on the stand and got caught for it. How smart?
No, I know. I don't mean that. He was not ethical. Okay, clearly. But I think he was a smart person. I think he was, I take all the gross stuff out of it. No, but he was a total like dirty old man. He was definitely involved with Epstein. Like, I don't have a doubt in my mind.
We want more. Like, why did Prince Andrew, there's that one picture, and next thing we know, he's ruined, right? He got like, I bet you Bill Clinton did the same shit.
The Clinton's people are just covering it up better, I guess. I don't know. but he definitely did it. I mean, come on, he like had an affair with an intern when he was the president. I mean, Jesus, this guy doesn't give a shit.
But what a bombshell. Like, I would have loved to get that when they did all the Epstein case uncoverings and went through all the files. We're just finding, do you know how much information all these celebrities hold, like Kevin Spacey, that they just drop these things like that? And it's like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah, but like the fact that Kevin's has not been dropped and people aren't giving him their chance, I don't know. I don't agree with it. I'm sorry, Kev. I think I hope you get back on screen. I'm not saying you weren't handsy and gross, but I like to see you make a comeback. I would.
And you know, in his interview too, he mentions that movie he did with the last movie that Kevin Spacey filmed was All the Money in the World, directed by Ridley Scott. He ended up getting replaced out of the film by Christopher Plummer, who he said was a friend of his. I can't imagine how hurtful and damaging that probably felt for Kevin to put all that work into a movie and then never see it. So he does hope that one day he gets to put his version of the movie out. But my point is I think that was like 2015 or something. That was the last time he filmed a movie for the most part, or at least a big movie that anyone.
It's almost 10 years ago.
It's very sad.
I really think it's time to let this guy back in the limelight. That's like, let's say even if he did do it, that's like a jail sentence right there. Okay, he's out of jail now.
Time, guys. And he lost all his money.
He lost everything. Like, and he worked really hard for all of that, and he deserved it.
Did you realize that his manager is Evan Lowenstein from, do you remember the musical boy band duo Evan and Jaron when we were like in high school?
Oh, apparently there's a lot of people I don't remember, like Dream, Evan, and
Okay, well, Google this after we finish. Evan and Jaron was this like 2-hit wonder. They were all over MTV TRL like in high school. I was a big fan and then they disappeared. Well, Evan Lowenstein is one of the guys. It was Evan and Jaron. He's his best friend and manager of many years. Like, what is that about? It's really weird.
had another different career. But if you're, I would want to be Kevin Spacey's manager now, though. He's not making any movies.
Well, he came into Kevin Spacey's world like about a decade ago, right before all this started happening, and cleaned house of all of Kevin Spacey's management, started hiring new people, and then all these accusations came out. So he has been with him through thick and thin. He's been behind him in all the trials. Of course, there's rumors swirling that they're gay for each other. Like, fuck off, who cares?
Who cares? I hope they are.
Kevin does seem to be lucky that he has like this circle of close friends. So I think what Liz and I are saying here is, yes, he did some really shady shit. We feel bad, you know, for the men that went through this.
Not justifying that behavior. It was gross, but did not seem like it was the level that deserves kind of what's going on right now. Like this career has been derailed. This has been years and years and years. He hasn't worked. Might be time to let him back.
Can't imagine how much money he's lost from all these lawsuits.
Forgive a lot worse, guys. We forgive a lot worse.
So yeah,
I don't think that's fair. Okay,
and the man has no money. I mean, he's literally foreclosing on his home.
I'm sorry. I want to watch him again. He's awesome. He's a great actor.
Should Kevin Spacey be allowed to work again? I think Liz and I are voting.
I vote yes.
We vote yes. We do have some skepticism. We are going in with it with 1 foot in, 1 foot out because we're not sure, but we do feel like we miss him and we'd like to see more that he's.
I'm 2 feet in, guys. Okay,
Liz is 2 feet in. I'm still 1 foot.
Hate me if you want. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm all feet and hands in. I'm handsy in. I don't even make a joke on that. I really don't.
Not handsy. No, don't be handsy.
I won't be handsy. I don't think he will be again, but I'm for Kevin Spacey making a comeback.
Well, I will say though, in that Pierce Morgan interview, there was a slight layer of like ego entitlement.
Or like you think is how upset he got was good acting.
I didn't know that I like
some of that kind of was like, you're just a good actor.
And really, this is a PR play, right? He's coming back in the rounds.
Yeah, I know. I thought that too for a second.
Look at us talking about him. We're ready to see him back on, you know.
I'm with you on that. That I'm like still this. But even with that, I'm still kind of ready for him to come back on screen.
I think I'm ready to. But I don't. If it were me and I was hiring him for a movie, I would have like in my contract with him, there'd be a whole clause of like inappropriate behavior, like I would cover it head to toe.
I don't think he would ever even.
He said he's a changed man. I know. I hope you're right.
I really don't. Because this guy has been like shunned. So I don't know if he would do that again. We'll see though. All
right. So you've heard it here. Allie and Liz would like to see Kevin Spacey in a movie. I can't believe I'm saying this because a year ago I would have never been saying this. I think just
I'm the creep here. I'm just like, let him back. Who cares? I'm just
All right, guys. Well, very curious to hear what y'all think of this. And you know, there's obviously many people out there that probably don't agree with us. But there are some that do and that really support him. And you're going to see him, I think, start making more of the rounds in media. And I think he's really trying to create an emotional connection now with people to see like, listen, I've paid my dues. You know, I really want to come back. I miss it. And I'm just moving forward here. So let's see if we can accept him back into humanity and to Hollywood.
I'll see you on the screen, Kev.
See you on the screen, Kev. Until then, we're signing off. See ya.